Yuki, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the zone, where today, guys, we are doing the next of the Chris-chan sagas. And today, guys, is possibly when Chris was actually discovered via the Encyclopedia Dramatica. Now, I might possibly look this up maybe later on in the video as to whether or not the ED page even still exists. But, this is when people first begin to discover Chris, and what happened afterwards is what we're going to slowly unravel a little bit more day by day. So, let's get started. Pro tip, stop trying to put mentions of Ed. Okay, that's fine. I will see to that website's demise, or my name isn't Christian Weston Chandler. Yeah, let's see how well that goes. Encyclopedia, aka ED, and AE, is a satirical wiki and the home to the Chris-chan page that introduced Chris to the world at large in 2007 and made him a popular target for trolling. Ed discovers Chris. In late October 2007, Chris drew the attention of the folks in a forum at Something Awful, a comedy website. Shortly thereafter, the good people at 4chan also trained their lasers on Chris. Topics of discussion included his Sonichu comic, his website, and his MySpace page. You know what's quite interesting, guys? I reckon you could actually pull off a marketing stunt by still running a MySpace page and then attracting the attention of goodness knows how many people. Something to bring MySpace back into the limelight. Anna's blog story, The Tale of the Crazy Pacer, was also uncovered. The wealth of information and its worthiness prompted the Anon, later known as Jason Kendrick Howell, to create the original Chris-chan on Encyclopedia Dramatica on the 3rd of November 2007. Within 2 years, it underwent over 5,000 revisions and became arguably the most popular page on the site. Good lord. Chris discovers ED. Almost immediately, Chris discovered his ED page during what he called the worst weekend of my life. He was horrified by the explicit fan art, what he would later call dark, parodic shit. He was especially enraged by the inclusion of a recent photo of himself, superstitiously taken at the game place by Mims and uploaded to 4chan by Lucas. A hacking terrorist group, Anonymous and 4chan are somehow involved in that page as well. A hacking terrorist group. Right, he intoned. Chris's initial response to his character assassination was civil. He uploaded a video on the 7th of November addressed to ED requesting that the page be removed on the grounds that it misinterpreted his noble and innocent person. Well, innocent as far as, being a virgin is concerned, but that's pretty much where it ends. Even then, it doesn't go any further between, where I'm sitting right now and the mic that is literally 20 centimeters away from me. That's about as far as it goes. Within a few days, however, he opted to take efforts to personally delete or edit the page. After a considerable amount of bitching, Chris posted this gem on the ED talk page. Oh boy, let's brace yourselves, everyone. I am adding the positivity this hellhole of a website needs. You just do not appreciate the positivity I am adding to the page. What I am doing is a stand against offensive, unnatural, unrequited additions to any female image. What I am doing is a stand for every single woman everywhere, because no woman would ever want such a horrific twist of fate. What am I doing is a stand against the very thing that is not funny at all. So draw breasts, vaginas, uterus, ovaries, and the God-given eggs within them. You 2-inch short dickheads. Sincerely, Christian Weston Chandler, a man for the woman, for the woman's rights, for the woman's justice, for the woman's peace. P.S. Grow a backbone and go ask women out as well, you trolls. There's something so unbelievably stupid about the way Chris calls himself a woman for women's rights and for women's justice. Yeah. How was it? What did he say again about Megan Schroeder? I can't quite remember. It was something about burning her alive, isn't it? Or wanting to run her over, or wanting to torment her in some way? Or stalk her? Is that how it happened? Yeah, that was what happened. Chris then returned, admitting defeat after his tart rage. Months later, I have found from this page being the first of a number hit. This isn't me struggling. This is just his terrible grammar in full display. Christian Weston Chandler. Sigh. Among the number of you, my name has been dragged through mud. My email and MySpace have been hacked for the email information and random information that have been twisted into mockery of my person, my integrity, my honesty, my compassion, my heart, my soul, my being. Not only that, but the names of my two best gal pals, Megan Schroeder and Anna McLaren, and my electric hedgehog Pokemon Sonichu and Rosechu, have also been dragged through the mud of a mockery along with mine. Not only were my feelings hurt greatly, but also those of Megan and Anna, and a number of my acquaintances within my small social circle were shocked and terrified that such cruelty, such mockery, such hatred was built from the number of those who have added more and more of this disgrace of a description of my being. For a while, I was angry and enraged, and I shoveled information and drawings regretfully drawn beyond my personal boundaries down the throat of the webmasters of the page in an attempt to kill the hype and hatred against me. But no more. I give up on trying to edit the page to be more positive, or to delete the page altogether. But I have one question that I put unto all of you, the individuals who have taken part in creating this webpage, and I would appreciate an open, detailed, and honest answer from each of you in simple emails or reply on this discussion page. Why do you hate me so much? What do I do against you to cause the hatred against me? What physical or emotional harm have I ensued unto you? Why do you hate me for being myself in this world full of people who can't help but be themselves? I've had nothing against any of you. I don't know any of you personally. As far as I know, I have nothing that any of you have already. So why? I leave you with no ponder and ponder again over. I leave you with that to ponder and ponder over again. Sincerely, Christian. Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to just take Chris's side here, just for briefly 1 second. The thing about his Sonichu comic, listen, that would have been one thing, but what about the things he was doing before he became so infamous on the internet? People would have said, dude, why would you do that? That's terrible. And then again, of course, you know, people who would be going on as anonymous and could pretty much will say and do whatever they like against somebody like Chris. I mean, because it's an easy target, isn't it? I think that's half of why they do it. But I will say this, is that I do agree with the spirit of why Chris is saying that he's open to requests, because he hasn't done anything wrong to them for this to be warranted. Unfortunately for Chris, that's not quite how the internet works. The people will say and do this regardless, and it's just not going to comply with what we know of Chris. And unfortunately, by the time, like, I don't know whether people got in touch with like Megan or whatever it might have been, but they must have realized that once they got her perspective on offense, that this is why Chris has garnered the interests of these people already. All I will say from this point onwards, just before we get into the next part, I would agree, but I would have just chose to have left this alone, or, you know, if I knew I was being, you know, documented and out on the internet, because I do know that Encyclopedia Dramatica is a bit like Wikipedia, that it could be edited by anyone. But the reason why people knew it was Chris is because, you know, he would sign in places and that, which is not a good idea if you want to remain anonymous. But whatever. Trying another angle, Chris also encouraged ED to muster as his personal army to go after Joshua Martinez. Obviously, nobody did what he asked, exactly. He also tried to create a page on ED for his CCWC's fan art of horrors, see Troll Art, but a sysop immediately caught it and redirected to an anti-Semitic template. Chris's meddling with ED was a key reason for the destruction of his relationship with Meghan. On the 11th of November, in an attempt to shovel so much information down their throats into taking the page down, this was his infamous information overload for those just so like being introduced to that. If you want to know more about that phrase, well, what Chris originally decided to do is that he was going to literally tell the whole world everything about his life, sign in part his own name, talk so unlike anybody else. So by the writing alone, people would have worked out this was Chris. Also, because again, signing his name was 100% going to convince people. The only reason why I think Chris would have done that is because just to prove that it was him, and that it was not somebody who would have probably have looked into why he knew this so much about Chris. And this is including the 5 pornographic drawings to his ED page, including the infamous "She came for CWC.jpg." When Meghan found out about the drawing on March the 8th, it was the final straw. Chris made more furious efforts to scrub the images from ED, but to no avail. Of course, Chris blamed ED for all of this. Yeah, he blamed ED for the fact that he himself for no reason whatever that he would put his drawings up on the internet. Again, no provocation. He should have known fine well they were not going to be taken down. And finally, Chris is just really, really good at taking a bad situation and making it worse for himself. That's what he's always been good at. By late 2008, Chris had largely given up on their direct involvement with ED. Around the spring of 2009, he may have posted 1 or 2 comments on the ED talk page referring to Clyde Cash. The first is below. It was deleted fairly quickly. "I have learned that there was a connection between her and a state in Washington, where some of you have been lurking, and that she was not found in any public records. It took me a week to recover the crestfallen emotions, but I am moving on with my life. Also, you'll have to catch me IRL only to troll me any further. Do you dare? Peace out. Christian Sonichu." Yeah, there was some dispute over it, actually being Chris until he himself confirmed it in the post that followed. "Hey Clyde, you jerk, I said in real life, not PlayStation. Also, why don't you be the man and claim to be and face me yourself? You keep sending out your prawns to do your dirty work, you coward." I think he meant to say pawns there, but okay. According to Clyde, the above entry was deleted after roughly a minute. Probably due to Chris realizing that if he were to ever arrange a meeting to meet Clyde, he'd only send his parents away. 1st of April 2009. On April Fool's Day 2009, the Christian article was taken down and replaced with a message. Let's just... April Fool's Day, okay. Article of the now Christian Washington. "This afternoon, we at Encyclopedia Dramatica have independently decided to remove the Christian article about Christian Weston Chandler from our site. We have also removed all reference that slander, vilify, demean, or are found to be overly offensive. In plain terms, this ordeal has gone on far too long and gotten far out of hand. We have unfairly focused on him to the point intruding in his private life and causing him great personal grief, which no person should ever have to endure. This behaviour is not in line with our site goals, and we never wanted something like this to happen. Still, we must take complete responsibility for all our actions, both public and private. Please don't stop the comic." You see, that's perfectly fair enough. I feel that's absolutely fine for them to say, but oh yeah, that's right, I forgot April Fool's. Okay, Jesus, I forgot about that. I almost forgot it was April Fool's. Yeah. Christian. "This afternoon, we at Encyclopedia Dramatica have independently decided to remove Christian." Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they really did decide to move it. "We have also removed all reference that slander, okay, right, which no person should ever have to endure. This behaviour is not in our sign goals, and we never want something like this." Still, we must take complete responsibility for cause actions, and that is why we are speaking to you today. But we say to you now that at no time did we ask anyone to lie, hide, or destroy evidence, or to take any unlawful action. We know that his public comments and his silence about the matter gave a false impression. We misled people, including even his family. We deeply regret that. We can only tell you we were motivated by many factors. First, by a desire to protect himself from the embarrassment of his own conduct. He was also very concerned about protecting his family. The investigation moved on to the family and friends, then into his private life. And now the investigation itself is under investigation. This has gone on too long, cost too much, and hurt too many innocent people. Regardless of any public pressure to reinstate the article, it must be stressed that our intrusion on Chris's private life will cease, and we intend to reclaim his family life from his family. Even internet celebrities have private lives. It is time to stop the pursuit of personal destruction and the prying into private lives and get on with our national life. Our website has been distracted by this matter for too long, and we take responsibility for our part in all of this. This is all we can do. Now, it is time. In fact, it is past time to move on. We have important work to do, real opportunities to seize, real problems to solve, real matters to face. And so tonight, we ask you to turn away from the spectacle of the last 2 years, as we return our attention to all the challenges and all the promises of the next century. Thank you, and good night. Yeah, this is basically referencing all things. Not surprisingly, the page was back up on April 2nd. Ed, in a rare case of moral vulgarity, joking. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, and I'm pretty sure Chris didn't take that too well at all. Chris and ED in retrospect. I do think it is a little behind Quickie on a few things, though, but that is to be expected. Jason Kendrick Hall on the ED article 2 years after its creation. What's this? Before the comic Miyamoto Saga and Blue Spike Saga. Well, I reckon this here locale is all dried up. Time for this all go moves on to greener pastures. For several months prior to the events of the Blue Spike Saga in early 2009, many thought that Chris had dried up, that Chris could go no further. The FCTC's postings of new pics on Chris's bent duck in December 2008 prompted an ED admin to lock the talk page and demand satisfaction. For a while, the ED page was crammed with misinformation, such as the claim that Chris had attempted to molest Patty, or the idea that Ivory was really the blow-up doll. These rumours were occasionally cleaned out, but trolls and general observers of Chris have since turned to Quickie to get a more accurate and less biased picture of Chris. TV Tropes once described the Quickie as being more accurate and slightly more SFW than ED. As for Chris himself, the ED page bothered him for years, and presumably still does, but he rarely mentions it anymore. An entire page of Chris's website, established in December 2009, was dedicated to correcting the evil ED article with his own true and honest take on the situation. Naturally, it was about how Chris isn't remotely responsible for anything he has ever done wrong, and how it's all the fault of his autism or those dang dirty trolls. Gradually, however, Chris's focus on ED died down. He made occasional references, but his depression and focus on other enemies caused his anger to flag. ED itself suffered from a schism and dissertation in April 2011, when it was redirected to Internet, a more safer work wiki, in an attempt to achieve the site revenue required to stay online. The site included watered-down articles about Chris and Solitude. In October 2013, Internet silently went offline, and Encyclopedia was revived via scrapping articles and images from archived websites. The site would then go on and offline and go through several domains: CH, SE, ES, and RS, and .wiki, Over the years, going into the 2020s, it and Chris Chan article are still kicking, though long suppressed by this very wiki. Chris Chan forum. Chris Chan was a subforum on the Encyclopedia Dramatica forums, commonly referred to as EDF. It was created such that the talk page for Chris articles could be used for its rightful purpose, to discuss improving the article. Chris indicated in his 13th of September 2009 video that he had read the ED forums and had discovered a plan to Photoshop images so they looked like they were more from a Solitude game. Chris firmly believed this forum to be the main hub for trolling activity, despite other forums and websites, such as this one, having far more significance. And I would technically, you know what? Maybe I'll do like a part 2 to this video by going through I'll go through like I'll tell you what, in the part 2 to the ED saga, I'll go through the first 3 of these, then I'll go through the rest of these, depending on how long these are. Some of these may not be too, actually this is very, very long. Yeah, these are probably going to have to be like separate videos in themselves, so I'll get to these just when I can. So with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, again, just like with everything else that I mentioned about Chris, there are so many things about this saga, the Encyclopedia Dramatica saga. Mostly, yeah, a lot of these, you could say this was initiated mostly by the trolls discovering who he was, but you can't deny that there was just certain things we all know Chris could have just not have done in the first place and saved himself so much trouble. And with all that being said and done, I hope you guys have enjoyed the ED saga. I'll make sure to get like a better view of this when we go over the other articles related to this saga in particular. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.